And now, from Raw and SmackDown to premium live events and retro rewinds, this is WrestleVision.
Hello everybody and welcome back to WrestleVision. My name is Luke and this is the show where we take a look at everything happening in WWE, from Raw and SmackDown to premium live events, creative decisions and all the little details that make wrestling so good. And we are now officially 7 days away from SummerSlam. And I know that there's a few more matches that we need to get on the card. I think that there's due to be about 12 or 13 matches over the two nights. That's what I've heard anyway. I also heard that there was meant to be 8 on each night. So I don't know how true that is. But we'll have to wait and see how many we actually get when the card wraps after Monday Night Raw and the last SmackDown before SummerSlam. But today we're going to be reviewing SmackDown from the 24th, coming straight out of Oakland, California at the Oakland Arena. And I've got to be honest, this particular episode of SmackDown started well. I mean, I went into it not expecting a lot because SmackDowns haven't really been the strongest of the two shows, unfortunately. But when we came into this week, I thought that Raw was pretty weak on Monday. So coming into SmackDown and sort of seeing how this show started, I thought it was going to be good. And it wasn't the worst, but there was a segment in the middle of this show that was just a huge letdown for me. And I actually don't know if people are trolling online because I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard a lot of people say it was really good. And I came away from it, and I'm talking about the Cody and Punk segment, and I thought it was terrible. I really didn't enjoy it at all. So maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Tell me what you think. But yeah, I just wasn't a fan of this promo, of this segment. But let's get into the show anyway. And Jotes opened the show, and we had backstage arrival shots of Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Brie Bella and Paige, and Fatal Influences JC Jane, Fallon Henley and Lainey Reid. And we also had Wade Barrett on colour commentary this week. Raw General Manager Adam Pearce and SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis were both shown in the ring, where a table and chairs were set up for the contract signing between him and Gunther. And footage aired just before we started this of the angle at the SummerSlam kickoff event that included Triple H making Gunther versus Aldis official. Now, SummerSlam is officially a week away, and personally for me, this SummerSlam kickoff show, I think some of that should have been on Raw last week. You know, some of those segments, some of those sort of little moments that they had in front of each other could have filled spaces on a Raw that a lot of people had an issue with. But nonetheless, it happened on this kickoff show to make a little bit more money for fans to turn up. And yeah, I don't know if this was after Raw. If they did this after Raw, or if this was like a separate event entirely, just sort of in the same area, I have no idea. But no doubt you would have had to get separate tickets for that. And yeah, again, the money train moves on. But in the ring, Pearce said there were a couple of terms and conditions that needed to be made clear. He introduced Gunther, and Pearce announced that he would take over the SmackDown GM duties the moment that Aldis signed the contract. He also said there was a hold harmless agreement included. Aldis said he knew exactly what he was signing, and if that meant relinquishing his executive responsibilities, then so be it. Now, just firstly on Gunther, he's looking good. He's looking well. Gunther looks more slender each time I see him. And to be honest with you, the contrast of that against Nick Aldis in the ring is going to make Nick look like even more of a unit than he actually is. But yeah, man, Gunther's in really, really good shape. And just moving on to Nick Aldis, is he coming back full time? Is this a one-off match? You know, I've heard rumours of maybe a GM coming in to fill the boots of Nick at some point. I've heard murmurs of Kevin Owens. I've heard loads of different things. But moving on from this match, could we see Nick Aldis make further appearances in the ring, or did they kind of just set this up as a one-off? I don't really know where I stand on that at the moment. I think obviously this is the one match that we're going to get, but I think just depending on how it goes and the response and the reaction from the crowd and sort of how it's received as a match in total will determine whether they decide that Nick is going to come back. I think he's still got the years in him for sure. And we go back to the signing, and Gunther said SummerSlam would be the greatest moment of Aldis' career, whereas it's all beneath him. He said he was preparing to win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, and the only reason he was there was because Aldis didn't know how to do his job. Gunther said Aldis has had an issue with him ever since he arrived on the SmackDown. And it did make me laugh when he said it was beneath him, because I thought, don't get me wrong, he's been in a few matches recently, Gunther, with obviously in the WWE Championship picture. But the last memorable matches you've had have been against general managers, commentators, beating up Michael Cole, taking Pat McAfee in the ring. That's what it feels like to me anyway. So I don't know if it is actually beneath you at the moment, because you were quite happy picking on the commentary team when it suited you. So I'm just saying, dude. But Gunther said Aldis is jealous of him. He said he's a former NWA World Champion. Nice callback, by the way. But he never really made it as a wrestler because he dreamed of being a WWE superstar. Gunther said he walked into WWE and got it all. He said he got the titles, the records, and is a multi-millionaire. He said his watch is worth half of Aldis's yearly salary. And Gunther said Aldis would join John Cena, AJ Styles, and Goldberg as people dumb enough to get in the ring with him. He said he would retire Aldis before it really gets started. Aldis said Gunther had said all of this before, and said Gunther never thought that it would come to this. He said he thought Gunther would cheap shot him and pay his fine, but it didn't go that way. Aldis said he saw in Gunther's eyes that he didn't want any of this when he punched him at the SummerSlam kickoff event. Nick Aldis said you can talk about Cena, Styles and Goldberg, but he hasn't had a match in 3 years. He said he has nothing to lose, but when I beat you at SummerSlam, you go from the career killer to the man who got made a bitch by his boss. Gunther grabbed Aldis, who hit him with the mic, and Aldis removed his jacket and worked over Gunther with a barrage of punches while Pearce tried to pull him back, and everybody came running out, obviously, because there's a brawl in the ring at this point, and it was just meant to be a lovely little contract signing. But great promo from Gunther. I mean, he never really fails on the mic, to be fair. I think this is pretty normal stuff, to be fair. Nick Aldis was okay. We see him talk week on week anyway, and it just kind of was more corporate jargon with a little bit of salt added on the top. But I've got to be honest with you, I'm here for it. I am hyped for this match, and I think that this is kind of one of the standouts for me, because this is the different match, and the fact that Nick has the wrestling pedigree just brings a different dynamic to this match entirely, because I feel like that we're almost getting like a debut. I've never watched Nick, and I don't plan to. I just want to see this match. I want to go into SummerSlam, watch Nick Aldis for the first time, potentially the last time, and just see what kind of match we can get. Different styles. Obviously, Nick is, as I've said, a bloody unit. So it'd be interesting to see how he can sort of throw Gunther around the ring, and if he does get the better of him. As much as I would love Nick Aldis to win this, I think Gunther will succeed and get the win over Nick in this match, because that's just the narrative we're pushing. It doesn't make much sense for Gunther to lose unless Nick Aldis comes back in ring and then they set up a rematch. But ultimately, I do think that Gunther will win this match, and I just hope we get a decent one, if I'm honest with you. SummerSlam, I'd like to think that because it's Nick's last match potentially, if that is what he's thinking and what I fail to understand at the moment, because I just want him to come back and give us a few weeks in the ring. Hopefully I want that anyway. Again, I've not watched the guy, so I can't really judge what I'd like to see because I haven't seen what came before. But either way, I'm here for it, and this is just something a little bit different on the SummerSlam card that I'm actually excited for. And of course, we got the 8 producers run out at the end of the show. The obligatory producers or whatever they are come running out to break up this match, and it's just because he attacked him in plain clothes. If you do it in the ring and you're in ring gear, it's okay. If you do it in a t-shirt and jeans, all hell breaks loose. Punches are 10 times harder. People stay down after a kick, and the cavalry arrive because you did it in your home t-shirt. Unbelievable. Let's read what they've written here. A strong angle with strong mic work from both wrestlers. I'm looking forward to Gunther versus Aldis as much as anything on the SummerSlam card. It's worth pointing out that while Gunther spoke about retiring Aldis like Cena, Styles and Goldberg, there was no mention of Aldis actually putting his career on the line. Yeah, so there you go. We're kind of leaving the door ajar a little bit for a potential Nick Aldis in-ring return. I think that they could be lining, as I said, someone up to take the spot. I know that Adam Pearce said that he would do both roles. I don't know how long he would be able to sustain that without them just bringing in almost like a novelty GM for a little while. Like I say, it could be someone that's off the roster at the moment, someone who's injured. A Kevin Owens, as I say, would be an interesting shout, especially with Sami being on the show and sort of the promo work that he's cutting at the moment. That would be quite an interesting dynamic because obviously of their history together. But yeah, as I say, I think we just wait, we see what the reception is from the fans after SummerSlam, and I think that pretty much kind of decides where we go from there. You know how Triple H and WWE like a pivot. That's all they've mentioned on Unreal. Pivot this and pivot that, and we had to change this, and yeah, injuries, it is what it is, but they love a pivot. But moving on backstage, Kathy Kelly stood in front of the trainer's room and tried to give an update on Nick Aldis after the attack on Gunther, but Sami Zayn interrupted her and said he had something to get off his chest. He vented about the way he lost the WWE Championship and called Punk Golden Boy number 2 and said now everyone has the Punk versus Cody Rhodes match that they want. Then Adam Pearce entered the area and was about to enter the trainer's room, but Sami Zayn stopped him. He told Pearce to make it right by adding him to the WWE Championship match for that triple threat. But Pearce told him that the match would be Punk versus Cody. Pearce said there would be a 4-way tonight with Damien Priest, Trick Williams, Royce Keys and Finn Balor, and said the winner of the match will face Zayn in a No.1 Contenders match at SummerSlam. Zayn complained that the 4 wrestlers merely had to be mentioned by CM Punk to get their opportunity, and he vented about Punk and Cody until Pearce told him to take it or leave it. Sami said fine, but no more shenanigans, surprises or funny business. Pearce entered the trainer's room and Zayn started pounding his fist on the door. And I gotta be honest with you, this was a fucking great segment. Just this small piece. Great work from Sami. Top segment. I think he's spitting facts though, He's actually being treated unfairly. I think. I'm not salty about it anymore, about the loss, the 9 days and all that. But I do understand. All this work is happening around the picture of the title, and all these promos are happening, and Sami's being forgotten about. So I am on Sami Zayn's side here. However, I'm not sure how long these segments could run for before fans start to lose interest. I think they need to make a move now, not play the long game. Look, it's a bit of a shame that he was demoted to a No.1 Contenders match. And, I say demoted because we're clearly not getting the triple threat. The match has been confirmed at SummerSlam with the outcome of that fatal 4-way. And for me personally, the story, and I say that in quotation marks, between Cody and Punk just ain't really doing it for me. Like, there isn't one. So to put Sami in that match would have made sense for me because there's a story between the 3 of them if you insert him in that match. But this is the way we're going, and yeah, we're just going to have to deal with it, unfortunately. But yeah, top work from Sami, man. Absolutely loved this segment. I thought he was brilliant in it, and it continues to impress in this role. But that leads us on to our first match of the night, and it was Brie Bella with Paige versus Lainey Reid with JC Jane and Fallon Henley. And Brie Bella beat Lainey Reid in 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And I think this is good, This is good that we're establishing each member of Fatal Influence. Let's see them in the ring and understand them as stars and their styles and personalities. And, in my opinion, I think this is how you build a strong faction. In a couple of months, we're going to know how they work, sort of their personalities in the ring. And I know that people will already know that stuff from NXT, but I'm not an NXT watcher personally. So anyone who gets promoted to the main event, I dip. I wouldn't say I watch it all the time, but, sometimes I'll dip in. Like, I knew who JC Jane was and Fatal Influence were. I knew I'd seen Oba, I'd seen Trick, that kind of stuff. So it's not like I'm completely oblivious to who they are when they come to the main roster, but I just get my best look at them when they finally get promoted up. But we'll run through the match here anyway. Reid was in offensive control going into an early break, and Reid had Brie on the ropes and was setting up for a move, but Brie kicked her down. JC Jane climbed on the apron and barked at Brie until Paige pulled her down, and Brie went for a sunset flip on Lainey Reid, who sat down on her and held the ropes for leverage until the referee caught her. Brie then used her legs to hook Reid into the pin for the win. And after the match, the Fatal Influence trio attacked Brie and Paige. And then we got the return of Nikki Bella. And she ran out and helped her sister and Paige. She hit the Rack Attack 2.0 on JC Jane, pulled the mic and said, "You 3 bitches, if you thought you could sneak up from the minor leagues and attack my sister." she announced that she and Brie would team with Paige to face Fatal Influence at SummerSlam. So I actually made the wrong call on this one. I thought Nikki would return, which I did make the right call. It was either going to be here or SummerSlam. But I thought that Nikki would turn on Paige in this show. I was a little bit wrong there. Decent match overall. Brie for me was better this week. I said last week I think that she reminded me of somebody's mum. But she was a lot better this week. And with the triple tag at SummerSlam, I expect Fatal Influence to win that. And I still think Nikki will turn on Paige. I think following that, we'll get a feud with the Bellas and Fatal Influence, moving us on to another title change on TV, potentially. And then we've got another Saturday Night's Main Event in September. It seems a bit far away, though, for that feud to last that long. But how many teams do we actually have that can feud in the women's tag team division? Not a lot. And I just want to make a note on something that I said last week. I was talking about the Survivor Series War Games teams. And I think I might have jumped the gun a little bit because I was totally forgetting that we have so many more PLEs in that. I still stick by my teams that I said. But I keep forgetting about Saturday Night's Main Event, Money in the Bank, and we have a AAA Worlds Collide before Survivor Series. So let's just put that in the diaries now because I will forget about this stuff. You know, there's so many events now to try and keep track of. I need to get like a diary on my phone or something that has all the events in there. You know, like where you can get a widget or whatever it is and you can add it into your calendar. I think I need to do that just so I know what's going on because trying to remember the dates of everything. And yeah, I'm just a week-to-week guy. Yeah, we throw in predictions every now and then, but we're just working week to week and just taking the story as it comes. But let's see what they've written about this match here. It's hard to say much about the match because the majority of it took place during the commercial break. Yeah. It's good to see Nikki back from injury, and I'm happy to see Fatal Influence crack the SummerSlam lineup. Yeah, absolutely, man. I honestly believe that, like I say, the more in-ring we get from them and sort of they're featuring them quite a bit at the moment, I think it can only spell good news. I think they're a really good faction. They're very magnetic when they come on screen, and I like all three of them. They are the mean girls of SmackDown, and yeah, I really enjoy them. But then moving backstage, we get Kathy Kelly interviewing Finn Balor, who recalled his first SummerSlam in 2016 being the best and worst night of his career. He said he's been scratching and clawing while trying to get back to the glory of that night, and he said he's so close. Then Gunther interrupted and said he had a great plan, but he's next in line and intends to take what's his. Gunther said 10 years is a very long time, and then walked away. And you could kind of smell something being set up here, potentially between Finn Balor and Gunther. Obviously, the match that we get at the end of the Fatal 4-Way, Finn wins. So we do get Finn and Sami for the No.1 Contenders match. We'll talk about who we think is going to win at the end when we cover the Fatal 4-Way, but I think that Gunther could potentially play a part in this a little further down the line once he's mopped up Nick Aldis, if that be the case. But after that, we move into like a locker room where Royce Keys is warming up, and Solo Sikoa entered the picture and fired him up about his match being in front of family and friends in his hometown. Solo said it looked like Keys would be working both nights of SummerSlam, and Keys spoke confidently about his match. Then LA Knight showed up and hoped that Keys would become No.1 Contender, but he warned him about the bloodline. Keys said he's a grown man and Knight doesn't have to worry about him. Solo then interjected and said they were on the same team. He said the issue was with the bloodline. Solo touted himself, Keys and Knight before leaving, and Knight asked Keys if Solo was for real right now. And I've got to be honest, LA Knight is great, but I wish he would just slow down a little bit in his promos when he speaks. I feel like he kind of puts too much pressure on himself to be not like The Rock or anything like that, but he is very good at his promos, but he talks so quickly that I find that he stumbles on his words quite often. And I'm like, dude, just fucking slow down a little bit, like you're still going to get your message out. No one's going to ridicule you if you talk a little bit slower. He's always like 100 miles an hour. But when we're talking about promos, Solo for me is still the best. He's still so good. I honestly think that people need to start investing in Solo stocks these days, man. Because somewhere along the line, he's going to get a big push because his promo work is so good. We haven't seen him in ring for a while, and I don't dislike him in the ring either. I think he's pretty decent. But on the mic, he is somebody who's very clear, concise, gets to the point, and I'll say it again, Best Samoan promo, mate. I'm telling you. Trust me. He's the best one. He just is. But after that, we go to Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green speaking about Green's qualifying match and how they could go to SummerSlam together. And am I missing something here? When did Tiffy just accept that Chelsea was there all the time? I know that she was coming out and helping her in the ring and things like that, but there was a period, I'm sure a couple of weeks ago, where Tiffy did not want anything to do with Chelsea, and Chelsea was like really, really fangirling after her, and now they're like, oh my God, we're like best friends. Am I missing something? I probably am, but to me that just seemed a little, not strange, but I was like, oh, she's just accepting Chelsea now. I don't know. Maybe I'm going crazy. I don't know. But Green hoped they could shake it up and she could win the interim WWE Women's Championship since Stratton already has a title. And Stratton thought Tiffy 2 titles would be cute. Then Blake Monroe showed up after Chelsea made her exit and said she actually likes Stratton, but suggested that she should worry less about Green and more about her title. And Chelsea Green made her entrance. And with these two standing next to each other, Tiffany Stratton and Blake Monroe, they're very similar looking. And I know that for years we've had, women superstars that have looked very similar. And, I'm not denying Tiffy's in-ring work because I think she's really, really good. But I'd be interested to see how these two work together and to get like a proper look at Blake Monroe in the ring in WWE. I can imagine that they're probably quite different in ring, but yeah, they look very similar, and maybe we need to change something up there. I don't know. Maybe we should turn Tiffy brunette. Who knows? But that moves us on to our second match of the night. Chelsea Green versus Kiana James in a qualifier for the ladder match at SummerSlam. And Chelsea Green beat Kiana James in 3 minutes and 30 seconds to qualify. And I've got to be honest with you, thank fuck for that. Chelsea won, just give her the belt now. And it's about time that they gave Chelsea a result here. We saw all the chatter on Unreal, and people were saying that she was, treated unfairly because of what Michael Hayes said about her, that she's basically just there to get people over. Well, not the case at the moment. She seems to be getting quite a push, and I'm absolutely loving it. Chelsea deserves everything. I love her. I think she's brilliant. She's worked hard for years. She's put herself in sticky situations, quite literally, and made herself look like a complete idiot. And people still love her, and I still love her. And I actually think she was bloody good in this match. Like, she actually put a really, really good performance on. And that's not to say that she didn't have it in her. But as I say, 90% of the time, she's just getting squashed by somebody and putting somebody over, essentially. And unfortunately, we don't actually have a breakdown of the match here. It just says that she won the match of the unprettier. But honestly, this was a bloody brilliant match. And I thought Kiana James would win this. With her being in the chamber and things like that, like Kiana, I thought that, maybe this is just going to be another squash and it's going to get our hopes up and nothing's going to happen. But Chelsea is in the match at SummerSlam, which means we're going to get a new Chelsea outfit or a new Chelsea print on some sort of mini skirt or whatever it is that she wears when she comes out. What are those little skirts called? I can't think of the name. It's not a mini skirt. It's I can't think of the name of them. The ballerina things. You know what she wears around her back. I don't even know the name of it. But I know that she does all her own prints and work herself and all that, which is really cool. But overall, this was a good match. It was short. But the job was done. And the momentum is with Chelsea, and I'm so glad they actually made the right choice. That's a pitter-patter there. A little clap for WWE for actually getting something right in this match. Praise to Trips and TKO on that one. And they've written here, Stratton is no longer acting annoyed by Green and even smiled lovingly while watching her walk away before Monroe showed up. Thank you. So I'm not the only one. This is just kind of, they're just friends now. Okay. They've said, I like Kiana James, but I'm happy to see Chelsea Green qualify for the ladder match. It will be interesting to see how she and Tiffany Stratton approach the match. Yeah, but I don't even think that they need to interact that much, to be fair. I mean, God, there's going to be 6 people in it, and it's a ladder match. So I think that we have these moments, we've had them before, with Chelsea sort of just popping up in the ring where everyone else is down, and she kind of looks around like, oh, I'm the last person here. Sort of gives a smile and a salute to the crowd. Everyone cheers. That's her opportunity to just climb the ladder. I think Chelsea should absolutely win this match. I already predicted that I thought Charlotte could win it, and it doesn't look like Blake Monroe's going to be in it. And she was kind of my second pick, but I did say that I thought Chelsea maybe should win Money in the Bank, which is obviously coming up. But, I mean, hey, she could absolutely get the interim championship, hold that for a few weeks or however long until Rhea comes back and still win the Money in the Bank. So I'm here for it. But maybe this is like the little tester. Maybe they put the belt on Chelsea, kind of give her a little run, see how the crowd reacts, which they will. They will react well. I guarantee you people will be happy if Chelsea Green wins this. Think Dominic winning the IC. I know they're completely different, but that reaction that he got was like, it was like, thank you. Like, you deserve it. You know, it was well needed. And Chelsea, for me, absolutely deserves to win this match. Everybody else has pretty much had an opportunity there at the WWE Championship. Charlotte's had it. Jade's had it. Tiffy's had it. Give it to Chelsea, man. Let's just do it. This is the sort of stuff that gets fans excited. You know, the opportunity that somebody could win it who hasn't ever touched it before. An outsider, an underdog, like, it's SummerSlam. Make something memorable in this PLE and make it Chelsea winning the WWE Women's Championship. Please. Then we got a clip of WWE Unreal. And I swear to God, like the amount of WWE Unreal clips that were littered in this episode. Mate, if you put any more in there, we'll see the old goddamn show. Like, basically, it was like when they done the Hulk Hogan thing, when that show came out a couple of months ago over WrestleMania and all that. It was like, I've seen the show now. Like, there's only 5 episodes of Unreal, in my opinion. It needs to be longer. Just saying, just throwing that out there. But yeah, there's only 5 episodes, and you're showing so much of it that nobody needs to watch it now. What's the point? I can just watch an episode of SmackDown or a Raw and a SmackDown, and I've basically seen all of Unreal. But yeah, man, it was like every 2 minutes there was a fucking Unreal advert. And I mean, I've watched the whole thing, really enjoyed it. But I can imagine if you're not interested in watching it, which I know a lot of people aren't, they just don't care for it, that this is literally shoving it down your throat every couple of minutes. It's like, it's WWE. Like, we know that it's out. Chill, relax. Give us a little bit more in-ring time. Give us a little bit longer of a segment. Stop putting adverts all the way through SmackDown. There were so many adverts. It was unbelievable. Whew. But anyway, we go backstage and we've got Damien Priest and R-Truth talking about their title match against the War Raiders. Cody Rhodes showed up and said that he'd heard what CM Punk said last week and said maybe he and Punk would come for the titles, reiterating pretty much what they said last week. Truth said Cody and Priest are both confused and then walked away. Yeah, this was kind of just basically trying to make something work between Cody and Punk. Can they work together? Can't they work together? All that nonsense. Also highlighting, apparently, that Damien Priest and R-Truth are the longest reigning champions on SmackDown, which is crazy, because it feels like they've hardly defended it. I mean, all they've done is just popped up in segments talking about fucking hot dogs and stupid crap like that. But interestingly, in this particular segment, Priest said that he and the boys are sick of the same people being the face of the brand, and he said he would drop the WWE champion regardless of whether it's Cody or Punk. And I thought that was interesting because this is like with Sami saying what he's saying, we're almost like pushing this underlying narrative now that what the fans are saying online and what the fans are saying in general is that, you know, we get the same people, we get Cody all the time, and obviously there's been complaints about Punk as well, coming in, taking the championship off Sami when that was someone a bit different and people were happy with it actually being somebody different. But we know all the politics behind those choices and the fact, in my opinion, that, you know, WWE or TKO just don't trust themselves enough to put a belt on somebody else long enough that doesn't already have major crowd backing or even doesn't sell enough t-shirts, it seems. You know, you take LA Knight, for example, huge crowd backing, no title. And very little opportunity. But I think that Priest is kind of echoing what a lot of people are thinking at the moment, with it always being the same 2 or 3 people in the title picture. And much like Cody said to Priest, I like that attitude. But this is where we then get the segment of the evening that for me just was a dud. Like, it did not work for me. We get Cody Rhodes and CM Punk's segment. And I have to be honest, this Oakland crowd was very quiet for this and mostly quiet through the night. In my opinion, it just was not a good crowd. But Cody Rhodes made his entrance and, yeah, he got a mixed reaction, to be honest with you. and he yelled the city's name and asked what they wanted to talk about. And I've got to be honest, even Cody at this point looks sick of saying, "What do you want to talk about?" Like, he just kind of skimmed past it. It wasn't as enthusiastic as he has been about it for the last God knows how many months or years that he's been saying at this point. But once he'd said that, he introduced CM Punk, and Punk came out, held out his hand, and then Cody tried to pass him one of the two mics, but it fell to the mat, and Cody said it was an accident. Punk then angrily removed his jacket and jawed at Cody for a second and was leery of picking up the mic and got a different one from a crew member. Now, are we fucking for real? Is this all we have to go? This is like pathetic. We had the SummerSlam kickoff show, and they were complaining to each other that Punk put the belt over his shoulder and the strap flicked Cody in the eye, and it was an accident. And now Cody's handed the mic to Punk, and it slipped out of his hand, and he's gone, "Oh, that wasn't an accident. Oh, you did that on purpose." Oh. And it just occurred to me in that moment, wow, we don't have, there is no story or plan for this match. This is literally just insert big name versus insert big name to make big main event at SummerSlam. That's what it feels like to me. There's no substance here. There's no context here. This is literally two people having a match for the sake of having a match. There is weak sauce running through this entire main event here, and this segment just put me off of this match entirely. I think that I actually came away not giving a fuck even more about this match than I probably did last week. Even though I said, it'll be a good match, and it probably will be a good match. But do I care about it? I care about it less after this promo, I have to be honest. Like, we're putting the whole premise of this match on the flick of a belt strap and the drop of a mic. Like, it's just pathetic. And Punk was acting pathetic. Like, why would Punk react like that? Oh, you went to hand me that mic, but you dropped it on the floor. Like, why would you do that to me? Like, what are we doing here? I just think it's so stupid. But moving from that, Punk said it was a damn shame this is where they were at now. He said he didn't want to turn his back on his friend or drop down to pick up a mic because Cody might kick him in the teeth. Where are you getting that from? Punk said he didn't want to sound paranoid, and Cody said they should stop with the word paranoid. Cody said he's not paranoid. What happened was an accident, just as Punk hitting him with the belt strap on Saturday night's main event was. Like, okay, who gives a shit? Let's move on from that. It doesn't matter. Like, it's so ridiculous. Cody said he needs to beat Punk for himself, and Punk said there doesn't need to be another reason than the title. But he said he was all ears if Cody had another reason. So you're just basically confirmed there is no reason. Like, there's literally no reason. We're just making the title. I just want the title. I just want that. That's the reason. Cody said they'd done a lot of these moments, and people have heard him say he loves and respects Punk. He said those two can be true, and so is this. I don't like you. Cody recalled Punk's pipe bomb and said he followed it and dropped a nuke on the industry. He said while he was doing that, the fans stuck with Punk every step of the way. Cody said he just had someone tell him they are tired of the same faces. He said there's a reason he was on Fallon's show, Jimmy Fallon that is, and while he'll be on ESPN on Thursday. Cody said he went from being the one who knocks to being the one they knock for, and it was a list of one. Cody said WWE has the greatest roster ever assembled in a wrestling company. Well, I won't go that far. Cody said hats off to Nick Khan and Triple H for that. Good old corporate Cody turning up, tonguing a bit of bumhole again. Cody said he doesn't sweat anyone on the roster other than Punk. He said that for his story to have a proper ending, and we're still doing the story ending, he has to beat Punk at SummerSlam. And like, there was this narrative that was weaved throughout this about like, well, you left the company and then I left the company and we both left the company and made like waves outside of it, and then we like done them all a favour and like come back. And I thought, why the fuck are we talking about that? Why the fuck does that matter for a title match at SummerSlam? Like, there's nothing here. I'm just convinced there is nothing here. But Punk responded and said Cody doesn't like him, then questioned if it's because he's the champion. Punk said he casts the very last shadow that not only Cody but a few other people can get out from underneath. He said it's not one-way traffic, and he said if Cody watched and learned from him, then good for him for being smart enough to pay attention. Punk asked if Cody did it bigger and better than him and said it's not for him or Cody to decide, it's for the people and the history books to decide. He said he was on the outside watching Cody in 2022 and said he learned from Cody that there is a way back and he followed that path. Punk said they're not chasing each other anymore because that ends at SummerSlam. So we're basically trying to say that because Cody left the company and created AEW, I guess, that, you know, and Punk left and they followed each other when we weren't looking. And yeah, this is just a fucking weak. It's just, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I just think it's crap. Punk said that Cody's saying he respects and loves him, but doesn't like him is a case of Cody lying to himself. Punk said Cody can't handle the pressure of trying to take the title off someone he cares about or to beat someone he loves or to rise to the occasion of having an athletic contest with someone he respects. Well, how the hell do you work that one out? I'm not being funny, but did we not just have a match with Cody and Randy? I would have thought that whole build-up, I remember that whole build-up, was Cody finding it hard to have to beat Randy, who he loved and respected. So, where are you getting that information from? Do you see what I mean? It's just, they're just making this up as they go along it. That's what it feels like. It's like, do we just forget about everything that came before? Oh, man, it's just frustrating as hell. Punk said that if KO, Randy Orton and John Cena are Cody's enemy, that makes him Cody's only friend. Punk said he promised Cody years ago that he wouldn't stab him in the back, he'd stab him in the front. Yes, he did say that. Punk said that if Cody thinks the only way this ends is with him winning, he will break Cody's heart at SummerSlam. And then they mentioned that they'd be teaming up on live events this weekend and next Thursday. And I thought to myself, is this how we're going to create it? We're just going to have this tension in these pointless fucking tag matches that's going to be basically the basis of the story. Because this was just, I did not like this promo. It was awful. And then at the end, they did this silly little thing where Punk said he's the best in the ring and on the microphone and nobody can touch him, not even Dusty's kid. And he shoved the mic in Cody's chest and Punk's music started to play. Then Cody stopped him, said he wanted Punk to hear the music that would play after he looked up at the lights at SummerSlam. And then Cody's theme played and he walked off. And don't get me wrong, they're both good on the mic. Like, they can talk and hold a conversation. But for me, this was just a fucking god-awful promo. I thought it was complete fucking waffle. And I was like questioning them. I was sitting there going, like, what the fuck are they on about? Like, they're going to tag for the next 3 weeks. There's no story. And it just, I was just like, mate, this just needs to be a triple threat with Sami. Like, Sami and anyone, in my opinion, would have been better than this story-wise. Again, I'm not going to say that the match in ring is going to be bad because I actually back that it will be decent. But I just think that the emotion isn't there for me. Like, I don't care about their stories and kind of, not their stories, but this made-up story that they're trying to do here, and it all started with a flick of this and a dropping of the mic, and yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest with you. But let's just see what they've written here, and it's going to contradict everything I've said. A good verbal exchange. As good as both guys are on the mic, fans know the stakes and they know the personalities. It doesn't feel like there's much new they can say. Sure, they could get some gasps out of the fans by working in their AEW history or something along those lines. But I like that they are focused on their friendship and rivalry. They are doing a nice job of increasing the intensity as we get close to SummerSlam. I disagree, man. I disagree. Like, yes, they are good on the mic. In history says that they are. Yes, I agree with that. It doesn't feel like there's much new they can say. Well, they haven't really said a lot, to be fair. It's just been like, oh, we're friends, and then we're not. Oh, can we work well together? Oh, don't know. That's kind of all that it's been, really. Sure, they could get some gasps out of the fans by working in their AEW history. Yeah, but we've heard it before. Like, we know the story there. Like, it's nothing new that they went to AEW. Punk went to AEW, and obviously Cody helped build the damn thing, but we know that. Like, let's move forward. Why are we still talking about AEW and that kind of stuff all these years later? That just, for me, is not a strong story to take into SummerSlam. Like, oh, I just don't care about that. But I like that they're focused on their friendship and rivalry. Yeah, that's kind of it, really, which I'm not going to sit here and say it's not strong enough, but I don't think it's anywhere near as strong as it needs to be. We're a week away from SummerSlam, mate, and frankly, I don't give a monkeys about the result of this match. The only thing I actually care about is who ends up as champion at the end of it, and then what happens with Sami. I'm still there. I'm still like, yeah, man, Sami's involved, because this story hasn't been compelling enough for me to forget about that, unfortunately. And whatever Sami's doing is much more interesting to me on his own than what is happening here between these two. And that's just my honest opinion on it. But then after all that, we go to Kathy Kelly backstage interviewing Charlotte Flair, and Kathy asked if she regretted her actions from last week. Flair said no. She said it was her job to protect Alexa Bliss, and said that Jade Cargill would learn that she can come after her all she wants, but she's not going after her best friend. She spoke of going through Nia Jax to become Jade's biggest obstacle at SummerSlam, and that leads us into our third match, Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax in her second qualifier for the ladder match at SummerSlam, and Charlotte Flair beat Nia Jax by DQ in 8 minutes and 15 seconds. And I just have to point out that Charlotte, her outfits recently have been very good. And this was another one that I enjoyed. I'm liking all kind of the graffiti stuff that she's got going on. She's a very colourful person at the moment. And she used to kind of just stick to one colour. She'd have like a pastel yellow or a pastel pink or just a blue. And it would kind of all be a bit monotone looking. And yeah, man, she's mixing it up with the colours now. She's had a little bit of bliss injected into her. And yeah, man, I really like it because she's just come alive now. And I think this is personally for me Charlotte's best look. But enough about what Charlotte's wearing. Let's just get into the match and just run through quickly what actually happened here. We had a little bit of Nia Jax control, and then a little bit of Flair control, and then Jade Cargill actually made her entrance with B-Fab and Meechin, and Jax shifted her focus to Jade and her baddies. Jade had B-Fab and Meechin go after Flair, and Flair actually put them down with ease. Flair clotheslined Jax over the top rope, returned to the ring. She punched Jade off of the apron, then Jax went for a Samoan drop, but Flair slipped away and hit her with a big boot. Jade entered the ring, punched Flair, and yeah, got the DQ finish there. And afterwards, Jade, B-Fab and Meechin roughed up Flair. Jade put Flair down with Jaded. Jax tore the top piece off the broadcast table and was censored while she dropped an F-bomb or two. And it was a bit of a sloppy ending for me. I'm glad Charlotte won. But I swear to God, if Nia gets another match because she was disqualified, I'm going to be pissed. Because we've given her one spot for her, another spot that could have been someone else. And now maybe I don't think she'll get any more. I hope that she doesn't. But it would be a potential third spot because she feels like, you know, I've been outdone by her. I keep getting interrupted and I keep losing the match by DQ. There could be another conversation. I don't know, but I'd like to think that's her done now, I hope. But that does leave us now with Jade, Tiffy, Chelsea and Charlotte. And, you know, as I said before, my prediction was that Charlotte would win this. But I'm looking towards Chelsea now. We don't know who the fifth person is going to be. Interesting lineup so far, though. Very strong. They've written here, if they give Jax another qualifying match, her character should hire someone to punch her during the opening minute so she wins by disqualification to get the last spot in the ladder match. Yeah, it sounds about right. This is what I mean, man. It's crazy that... Just put Nia Jax in it, dude. Just fucking do it. Like, why are we dragging this out? Anyways, after that, we got like this little Fanatics Fest video package thing, which they've been, again, pumping down our throats for the last few weeks. And it was interesting to me because Tess on commentary said, how about all those celebs that showed up? And I was like, okay, what about all the wrestlers that showed up, mate? You know? Like, okay, so celebs showed up, great. About the wrestlers that showed up. This is a wrestling show. It's like they don't believe, TKO don't believe in their own product to push their own stars without the help of the celebs. Like, we didn't need celebs before. Like, we've been through this. We've said this before. Yes, WWE has always featured celebs in big PLEs, PPVs, whatever you want to call it. But they rely on them more so now than ever as like a support system for the business. Oh, we need to get more eyes on the company. The eyes are already there, dude. Like, people are going to be interested in wrestling or not. Doesn't matter if you put a Jalen Brunson, a Pat McAfee, a Jelly Roll, or any of these fuckers in there. You either like wrestling or you don't, in my opinion. I got to be honest with you. If I look at a crowd full of Jelly Roll fans that are at his concert, I think they're going for the music, for Jelly Roll's songs and his singing. I don't think they see Jelly Roll on the TV and go, Oh, he's in WWE. Oh my God, he was at WrestleMania or whatever it was. We should become wrestling fans now because Jelly Roll has touched it and now it's got his rub on the company. So therefore, we must now be WWE fans. I just don't think it works like that. But TKO seem to think it does. So there you go. But moving on from that, it moves us on to our fourth and final match of the night. Trick Williams versus Finn Balor versus Damien Priest versus Royce Keys, who for some reason they didn't televise his entrance, even though it was his hometown, which didn't make much sense, for a spot in the No.1 Contenders match against Sami Zayn at SummerSlam. And again, the crowd were just so poor for this. I think during this match, I could literally hear every call in the ring being made by Finn and Royce. And yeah, this just was not an interesting crowd. Like, we're a week away from SummerSlam. Like, I know that this wasn't the most exciting episode, but at least, come on, you've turned up. Like, this is what annoys me about the crowds in the States sometimes. I think that there's just overexposure. They get it so often. This is why we make the comparison between the Euro crowds and the international crowds, because we're so starved of it that when we do get it, it's like a fucking, oh my God, event. It's amazing. But hey, look, I don't know if that's the truth, because you go to... It changes every other city, you know. You never can tell, but Oakland, California, do better next time, man. But we'll run through the match here. Trick caught Priest with a backhand slap that sent him to the floor, and Balor dumped Trick over the top rope to the floor and then held down the rope when Keys charged, causing him to fall to the floor. Balor performed a flip dive onto all three opponents. Then Solo Sikoa walked out as the show went to another break. And this is obviously in support of Royce Keys and their sort of tag team. But Trick put Keys down with a bookend and covered him. And Solo put Keys' foot over the bottom rope to break the pin. Then Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso made their entrance and attacked Solo. LA Knight's entrance music played, but he hopped the barricade and attacked the Usos who were watching the stage. And like, why the fuck are we getting this involved in this match? Like... Fuck's sake, we've had this for 3 weeks now. We know the match is happening. Like, do we seriously need this sort of flooding and invading this match? This was a good match. And I just feel like it didn't need all this bull crap on the outside of it. Like, I understand that they're there, well, Solo's there because of Keys, but the rest of it, I just thought, oh, for fuck's sake, like, they haven't been that great, these segments, anyway. And don't get me wrong, I am kind of looking forward to the match, but I feel like it's just, this did not need to happen in this match. But back in the ring, Trick avoided Balor's coup de grace finisher. Trick threw a cyclone kick at Balor and covered him for a near fall. Solo and Knight fought the Usos to the back. In the ring, Priest put Trick down with a South of Heaven, and Keys stopped Priest from going for the pin. Keys put Priest down with a spine buster, another one of those brilliant spine busters that Royce Keys does so well, and had him pinned. Fatu showed up at ringside and pulled Keys out of the ring. Fatu worked over Keys and hit him with a hip attack against the barricade. Balor hit Priest with a shotgun dropkick and then followed up with the coup de grace for the win. And having Finn win this, good man, okay match. Didn't need the nonsense for the triple tag, obviously, 3rd week in a row. Finn versus Sami. Interesting setup. Who do I want to win? Do you know, I actually don't know. It's a tough one for me. I think that if Sami loses, that's it. He's kind of out this picture at this point. And, you know, this is then where it gets a bit tiring with Sami keep coming back and going, I was cheated. Like, we need to capitalise on that story. But then I think if Finn wins, he can come back later through this story. I don't think it's over. I don't think this is Finn's last chance. But I think that what this does is elevate him into that area, into that space where we can remember and go, oh yeah, what about Finn? Finn could definitely come back into this at some point. Personally, I think Sami should win to set up the rematch, in my opinion. As much as I love Finn, I love Sami as well. It's a tough one to call that. Very interesting match to watch. And will there be shenanigans in there? I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, going to be a decent match either way. Enjoy these two guys in the ring. And yeah, a very tough one to call. If you have any ideas on who you'd like to win or sort of what comes of each person winning, let me know. But let's have a look what they've written here. It would have been nice to have a straightforward match, yes, especially since babyface Balor was going over. Heck, it would have been even better if the company had put in the creative work to build up Balor in a big way so that they could have booked him against Sami in the No.1 Contenders match without having to resort to a random 4-way match. That said, good work from the 4 wrestlers involved. Yeah, and it's just another criticism on creative, the fact that they don't know how to book very well. But I think that with the triple tag match happening and the fact that this was Royce Key's hometown, they were probably anticipating that and have essentially killed 2 birds with 1 stone by building one matchup while simultaneously interjecting this triple tag and giving us just a little follow-on from that. I understand it. Do I like it? Not particularly, but hey, that's where we're at. They've written overall, while there were some SummerSlam developments, it was a frustrating show due to there being so many commercials airing during even brief matches. Yeah, man. Like, this was littered with commercials. It was unbelievable. Maybe they're getting their time in before SummerSlam, who knows? But that does wrap the show up. And I wanted to add a little award ceremony. I want to start doing this at the end of each show. So I'm going to give my MVP of the night. And then we're going to have a new award, the wooden turnbuckle. So if you don't understand that, you obviously have the wooden spoon if you come last. Well, wooden spoon don't really matter. Wooden turnbuckle, you know exactly what it means. So we're going to give our MVP of the night. And I'm going to award it to Chelsea Green or Sami Zayn. I think I'm going to go Chelsea. Sammy's been on a roll for a few weeks now, but Chelsea was brilliant in her match. She's over with me. I don't care about everyone else. She's over with me. I fucking love her. And I'm just happy that she's got the opportunity at SummerSlam to be in this match, and I fucking hope that she wins. And our Wooden Turnbuckle Award. Now, you could probably guess where this is going to go, and this can go to any match, wrestler, or segment, as can the MVP, over the course of the night. And the Wooden Turnbuckle Award is going to go to the Cody Punk promo. For me, it was a complete load of waffle rubbish, and they're just trying to make something happen. And I know that's their job. I know they have to do that. But for me, this just did not hit. I just did not care about it. It didn't make much sense to me. It was just pulled out of nowhere, and it was all built on the premise of someone handing someone a mic and it being slapped out of his hand, and then a belt buckle getting flicked over someone's shoulder. And that's kind of how we've started this conversation. And for me, that's weak sauce. It's a load of crap, and do better. We have to do better, man. We've got 2 shows before we get to this match at SummerSlam, Raw and SmackDown the night before. So please do better. But they're my awards and thoughts on the evening, and I think we're going to wrap it up there. I've been Luke. This has been WrestleVision. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, tag yourself in by following WrestleVision on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. You can also follow the show on Instagram at WrestleVision Podcast. But until then, WrestleVisionaries, take care, and I will catch you on the next one.